I am far too old for some sentimental courtship.
You're a...
How come you're still here, sir? Weren't you supposed to travel with Sir Hanush? Raise an army, prepare a wedding feast and all that?
All hail Jobst. He sorted things out here nicely. He got my money for a start, and that's more than I wanted to give him. But you know how it goes. Give them a finger. I explained to the Margrave that I'm not going anywhere, and I sent my captain with him. He's still young and full of piss and vinegar. I'm too old and fond of my comfort.
Did you at least discuss with Hanush where the wedding will take place?
Nothing to discuss. The wedding will take place at our castle Lititz, of course. It's the pride of our family. We can fit in 3 times more people than here, and that still wouldn't be much.
Ah, but there are 2 castles in Rattay. I'd bet my right arm old Hanush will want to have the wedding there.
What? In Rattay? Well, I ought to look into that then.
But deal with him yourself, though. I won't be your gent's messenger anymore.
Have you ever thought about getting married again? It would make a lot of things easier for you.
And how should I interpret this question?
In the simplest terms.
Vouch for me. May I interrupt you for a moment? You already did, didn't you?
What's the matter?
Never mind. Good evening, my esteemed lady. I haven't yet had the opportunity to make your acquaintance.
No matter. I know who you are. Although Martin hardly spoke of you, from what I heard, I could conjure up a pretty good picture.
Would you kindly introduce your 2 companions?
This is Lady Christina, second wife of Lord Binic of Nostitz. She's standing in for him here today.
Nice to meet you, sir.
How come your husband didn't come?
Because he's been rotting for nearly a year in the king's captivity.
I'm sorry to hear that, Mana. I pray that God shall return him to you soon.
I've been praying for it since the day I got word of his captivity. Perhaps worldly powers will come to our aid once the promised army turns up. One hopes.
What's your opinion of the outcome of today's assembly?
That it's about time. Although at the onset it looked like everyone here would carry on arguing like fishwives at the market. But in the end, it seems the agreement arrived at will bear fruit.
It's rather noisy here, ma'am. Don't you think?
It is, a bit. But that's all part of celebrations. And today we have cause for celebration, don't we?
Wouldn't you prefer a little privacy? I'll gladly escort you.
Restrain your ardor. You're not the first to try and lure my girls somewhere out of my sight. If you want to amuse yourself with them, I insist on being present, or you may be on your way.
But I had no wish to.
And while you're on your way, we're quite thirsty from all this constant chit-chat. Be so kind and bring us another pitcher of wine. I don't know what's in those kegs, and I don't intend to try it out.
Gracious! You couldn't think of a fancier name?
At least you can tell by the name that the horse is immensely well.
Having a good time? He's a fucking bore.
These old farts here have no idea what fun is.
Well, what are you missing? There's wine, food, even a few females worth the same.
I'd rather have a game of dice. Or a good punch-up.
Well, let's have a game then. But for what?
For coin. What else?
Playing for coin's a bore. You got anything else to wager?
I might have something. But you'll have to bet at least 20 groschen against it.
And what might that be?
Let's keep it a surprise. You won't be sorry, though.
What the hell? It'll be fun at least.
You bet it will.
You can dip that rotten carrot in lard and ram it up your dry arse.
I was just having a laugh with you. Lighten up a bit, eh? But if you don't like your prize, hand it over here.
Here you are. Not much use to me.
Ah, you've got no imagination. It's not for eating, but it still has uses. Like I could shove it down the back of the cousin's shirt.
Want to roll some dice?
Sure. How much will you wager?
Let's make it 50 groschen to spice things up.
Nice. If I'd known you had that kind of coin on you, I'd have pinched it long ago.
Want to roll some dice?
Sure. How much will you wager?
I don't play for coin. I'd end up starving.
Well, you can stuff yourself enough here to last you a week. Suit yourself.
Vouch for me.
May I interrupt you for a moment? You already did.
What's the matter?
One of the most esteemed guests ordered more wine. Where might I find it?
All over the place. Are you blind?
I meant the really fine wine. The kind that Martin Udren would drink.
No way. Sir Martin ordered for it to be served only to him and a few of his favorites.
Oh, come on. If I go and get it myself, there's no risk to you. At worst, I'll take the blame.
All right. Them pictures are on a table in the cellar. But you didn't hear it from me.
Now off you go and leave us alone.
Anyway, looking at him closely, I reckon he's more of a Draco. A few those around my mind.
Are you in need of something, my well-oiled friend?
I'd like to drink a toast with you to our joint success. As they say, all's well that ends well. So, to brighter tomorrows.
Touching.
Come now. What's become of your poetic soul?
I never had one.
Truly? Not even a little?
Oh, maybe once. The older I get, the worse it is. Give me a few more years and I'll become a professional mourner.
See now. I'll gladly drink to that with you. Only there's nothing to drink. We've run dry.
Fuck! I've got a tongue like a slice of weak old bread after all that gabbing.
Well, get something wet for us then.
His lordship is so unsteady on his legs, he can't make it as far as the keg.
To hell with that keg slop. Your father surely has something better stored away. I had my eye on him all evening. He had pictures brought from somewhere for himself and his closest friends, and left the rest of us to drink cheap dregs. Try and find one of those pictures for us, eh? I'm sure you can manage that.
You can bet on it. I've got a nose for booze.
I don't doubt it. Get sniffing quick.
The rat'll be good, I hope.
Now there's a piece of horseflesh for you, Rootard. Not like that nag of yours.
What the hell do you beat it with? It looks more like a damn bull.
Sir! Sir! There's some horsemen right out front of the fortress.
Ah, that's Peter of Pisac. Wouldn't come to the council, but he is coming happily to this celebration, you old fox.
Come on in, sir. There's wine aplenty.
Hey! Hey! Intruders! Enemies at the gates!
Seize the nobles! Kill the rest!
Jesus! They're surrounding Christopher! He can't make it on his own!
I'll beat you. Bloody motherfucker!
Step back! Stand your ground!
I'll hack your arsehole!
Wretch!
Bastard!
Let him die already! Get the pieces! Right! Drive those horses out! Now you finish me!
My greetings!
Nice hit!
Go! Whoa! You're dead! Show what you're made of! He's had it! Yeah, don't spare him! I'm in for you!
That was a close shave.
A little too close. Oh, fuck me. Do my eyes deceive me? Henry!
Godwin!
How did you get...
Damn. I can't tell you how happy I am to see you. You turned up at just the right moment.
Is everyone alright?
Well, some are, some aren't.
They captured Oder Kunstad and Rutard. And they took Alder and Conrad of Vector away too.
They wanted to slay the rest like dogs.
What about my father? And Hanush?
They left with Yobs long before that. I'm sure they're all right, but... not everyone was so lucky.
What happened, Godwin? Who died?
Anna of Waldstein. She didn't stand a chance against those butchers. May she rest in peace.
She was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And they almost killed my brother.
But only almost. Good work.
What do you mean, almost? What happened?
I got there in time to help him, fortunately. Christopher tried to defend our father, but nearly lost his life doing it. For nothing.
Old grievances aside, Odorin is an ally. The same as Rutard and Botchek.
Well, they all have their quirks. Cousin Botchek's a money-grabbing magpie. But I wouldn't give up on the fucker either.
We'll have to wait for the other side's move anyway. We don't even know where von Berghout took them.
Where did they go? Back to Rattay?
They've got to raise an army for us. And I hope they fucking hurry.
So we have a plan to counter Sigismund?
More of a promise than a plan.
But, as you can see, our allies are getting scarce. We should lay low until Jobst gets back.
I'll gladly play dead for a while.
Be so kind. And don't speak of the dead.
I tried to come as soon as possible and warn you, but von Bergov's people beat me here.
You knew he was coming.
He wanted Odorin. He probably had no idea they'd find most of Sigismund's enemies here in one place.
I bet he couldn't believe his fucking luck.
And Sigismund will be moving at a gallop. We have to be really careful now. One wrong move, and he'll hang the lords. Is there anything we can do? Definitely not right now. We'll treat the wounded, bury the dead, and get the hell out of here. Then we'll hide in the Devil's Den and wait for Jobst and his army.
If I survive the journey... Oh, God's teeth. That stupid nag nearly broke me in half.
The king announced one more thing at the council. He asked the councillors to ransack the Jewish quarter. That is, he ordered it, more like. Fuck! Liechtenstein's got his people there. They could reveal a lot.
The city rabbi is sitting upstairs in the hall. At least he's safe here.
They're our allies. We have to help them.
What do you mean by we? Everyone here is lucky to be still breathing. I can just see them all jumping to their feet and rush to save their poor Jews.
Maybe Samuel will figure something out. He wanted to talk to you anyway.
He's here too?
Aye, escorting the rabbi. You should go and see them as soon as possible. And tell Liechtenstein too.
Anyway, we've got work to do. Godwin?
Give me a moment. I'll go and see Christopher first. Guard the walls until... If anyone shows up, I want to know about it. I'll be with Christopher.
Put enough arrows in him to knock down 3 lightning. What about your horse? I don't know. I thought you told me
Sturdy. Well, at least it was over quick. Though, he almost took Hinnek of Kunstadt.
Damn. That dry camel is as tough as old boots. If a horse fell on me, I wouldn't get up again. One Kunstadt captured, the other almost crushed. They'll never leave us alone. Not if they're done, that's an old God's punishment or not.
Jesus Christ!
I have for you.
The other almost crushed.
Good to see you both. Alive.
Oh, come on. You know, I've walked out of much worse scrapes laughing.
They could well have killed us all. If it hadn't been for you, Henry, von Berkhoff could have caused a lot more harm.
Von Aulitz surprised even Sigismund with that. You should have seen the look on the king's face when he told him.
Well, thank God we all survived.
Well, not all of us. They killed Lady Anna of Volstein and many other nobles. It was slaughter.
And they captured our closest and most influential allies. Without them, we can hardly get the burghers on our side. We're stuck.
We'll figure out a way to help them.
But how? Our plans are ruined.
Get a grip. Whining doesn't help anyone.
You're right. When I drink too much wine, I get overwhelmed with self-pity. Nevertheless, I have to admit it can't get much worse.
Actually, it might. And very soon. At Sigismund's council, An order was given to ransack the Jewish quarter.
God's wounds! We need to get back to the city and warn them.
I'm going with you.
Out of the question. Do you want to end up imprisoned again? You'll be more useful if you stay here and help Shishka. Henry, tell Samuel and the rabbi to get ready to travel. I'll try to get someone else to join.
What happened when von Bergov hauled you off after the Nabokov battle?
It was a dreadful journey. Jesus, don't even remind me. It was a bit better in Malashov. Apart from being locked up, of course.
This is a nightmare.
Did anything happen along the way?
No, but it took ages to get to Malashov. 4 or 5 days in that god-awful cart. I was traveling with von Owlet's minions. They hauled me in one of the wagons. They treated my wounds a bit, but I was still in a really bad way. After that battle and all.
What did they do with you in Malashov?
Nothing much, actually. They took care of my wounds, and then stuck me in a room with Brabant. But they treated me decently, as befits a noble. Von Bergov came asking questions a couple of times, but that was about it. Only I almost went mad from being cramped in that damned room. It's a good thing you got me out of there.
What was the problem with the room?
That I couldn't get out of there. You saw yourself when you came for me, didn't you? It's just that since Nabokov, when they shot the tower right down on my head and I was stuck there. Well, since then, I don't feel well in cramped spaces. Actually, I never did. I always preferred to be outdoors. But since Nabokov, it's worse than ever. I had a feeling the roof would fall on my head again and I'd be buried alive.
I understand. It's a bit awkward for you that the nobility lives in castles.
That's a fact. Once I get my hands on my estates, I'll build a new castle that only has huge rooms and lots of spacious courtyards. And above all, no secret passages.
Great. I'm really looking forward to this new castle of yours.
You can be the castellan or something. Don't worry, I won't forget you. I'll even have a forge built so you feel right at home.
They didn't let you out at all. But you were in that room for ages.
No. They let us walk around the fortress a bit. We even went out for a ride twice, but they watched us like hawks. Not a chance of escape. But most of the time we were in that room. Like I say, I'm really glad you got me out of that hole.
What did von Bergov want from you?
Just the usual courtesies. The captivity of nobles has to observe certain formalities, you know? It's not like they could just throw you in some hole. They behaved fairly respectfully, but of course he was fishing for information. About Radzig and Hanush, and especially Jobst. What they're planning, how many men they have on the field, who else they're negotiating with and that.
And what did you tell him?
Nothing that he didn't already know. I played as dumb as the village idiot. I only told him they sent us with that message and discussed the rest when we were gone.
And did he swallow it?
I think he suspected I was bluffing a bit. And then he tried to loosen my tongue by letting me go hungry for a while. But he soon gave up when he saw he was getting nothing more from me.
My word. Nice work keeping him at bay. But the main thing is, you're alive and kicking. Back with us.
Indeed.
This is a nightmare.
What do you make of this Brabant fellow?
He's unquestionably a remarkable knight, that Vatalin. He rambles on a lot, though. My head nearly burst listening to him sometimes. Although it was better than being stuck there alone. Otherwise, he seems to me like a bold and worldly gentleman, if a little obsessed with wealth.
I agree. He seems quite likeable. And he's got a score to settle with Sigismund, like we do.
He certainly has.
What will happen to his lordship now? And to us?
We have to take care of young Sir Christopher and hope his father comes back soon.
Yes. The best thing we can do is to keep doing our work.
What if the old lord doesn't come back?
Then we'll have a young one. He's not a little boy anymore. Soon he'll get married and have a bunch of children.
We can only hope.
Though he almost took Hinnek of Kunststadt.
That's an understatement. The dead are scattered outside.
The devil knows what they were after. Maybe someone gave us away.
But who? Everybody was here. Only Jobst and the Ratai lords left.
I'm not saying it was someone from here. Lots of people knew about the meeting.
But to reveal something...
Your fortress is safe. Far away from Gutenberg. So what?
Fight. But do I look like I have time for that now? No, I don't. Drop by when I'm at the pen.
Sir Vaculin, you've had an exciting life. Tell me some stories.
Bien sûr. Your interest is gratifying and quite understandable.
Where does the name Brabant come from?
That is simple. My compatriots call me that because I am originally from Brabant province. And the name stuck. One day, I shall tell you about my place of birth, but I am sure you will long to hear about the conquest of Arezzo, yes? Or would you rather hear how I saved the King of France from certain death?
Arezzo sounds interesting.
And so it was. That is where I earned my knighthood from the great Enguerrand de Concy himself, the commander of our Naples campaign. Enguerrand arranged his forces for battle, and I was put in charge of one of the cavalry units. Out of nowhere, the enemy appeared on our unprotected flank, and Enguerrand set me to hold them back so our main force could regroup. But I saw a gap in the enemy's main phalanx. I sounded the charge and sped forwards.
Wasn't that rather risky?
Un chevalier français fears nothing.
Oh, I reckon King Sigismund would think otherwise after Constantinople.
That was completely different. Alors, I caught them by surprise. I hacked my way to their standard and broke through all the way to the enemy's reserves. My attack sowed confusions in the enemy's ranks that encouraged the overlords who raced to join me, scattering everything in their path. And that is how we won the famous victory at Arezzo. Seeing that the force that was supposed to protect them had been routed. The city then surrendered to us. No doubt you had no inkling at Maleshov what a knight you had the honor to meet. And of course my feats on the field of battle do not end there.
A bold maneuver.
Quite right. Courage is my middle name. Just as Monsieur Chapon says, audantes fortuna juva. That day I was the bravest of them all and won the day.
So, you disobeyed your commander and left your flank exposed. Your attack could have ended in a total fiasco. You were lucky the others came to your assistance, and your entire force didn't collapse.
I hear envy speaking, but you are still wet behind the ears. So, I can forgive you. In short, I saw an opportunity and took it. Moments like that can decide entire wars.
What did your commander have to say?
He made me a knight and sent me to the royal court to inform the sovereign of our triumph.
I reckon he wanted to get you out of his hair.
Do not talk nonsense.
What other feats have you performed in battle?
Oh, many, mon ami. For one battle does not make a warrior. It would take a week to recount them all, so I will just tell you about my second greatest feat. On the Italian field, we faced John Hawkwood, a ruthless Englishman and a fearsome warrior. Surrounded, we were at his mercy. Night fell, and we knew he would attack at dawn, and that would be it. But just then, Providence put an idea in my mind.
Well, don't keep me on tenterhooks. Go on.
Unobserved, I mounted my horse and set off to find help. And, La Dame Chance was exceedingly kind to me that day. As I rode away, by chance, I stepped it off of our horses. Thinking we were trying to break through, Les Anglais went to head them off. But while the English were occupied with my city, our units managed to flee. I saved many men from certain death that night, and many lords from the disgrace of capture. Needless to say, I was generously rewarded for my valor.
That is indeed incredible. But you were just trying to flee, weren't you?
I wanted to bring reinforcements, but as I say, I merely follow Providence, and she guides my steps, from triumph to triumph, wherever I go. Stick close to me, Henri, and Providence will favor you too.
How did you save the King of France?
With Providence as my guide, mon ami, I came to the court from the field of battle to bring news of our victory, because, and remember this, the bearer of good news is always rewarded and cherished. But the king was in a bad mood and did not wish to be disturbed. Maybe I thought the news of our victory will dispel his ill humor.
How could you tell him if he didn't want to be disturbed?
Ha! I climbed up to his balcony and into his chambers to surprise him with the joyful tidings. And lo and behold, the king was writhing and gasping on the floor, overcome by one of his fits. Wasting not a moment, I dashed over to him and unblocked his throat, thus saving his life. In return, the king bestowed on me the title of Échanson, or cupbearer, and other generous gifts. And I then spent a while in his service at court. Unfortunately, though, even the king's favor does not last forever, and minor mistakes can come to overshadow good deeds.
What happened at court that led to you being out of favor?
Well, perhaps I shall tell you some other time. Would you not rather hear about the glorious duel between Le Gris and Carouge?
Tell me what happened at court that caused you to lose favor.
Ah, a major setback and a gross injustice, mon ami. It is an unhappy memory, because it was the first time that La Dame Chance abandoned me.
It's nothing to be ashamed of. We can all learn from our failures. And I bet even your failures make for great stories.
Oui, that is certainly true. Very well then. I suffered a combination of misfortunes all at once. But bad luck in business and on a hunt were the worst of all.
You were in business?
Of course. I come from Brabant province, home to the greatest entrepreneur of all. My birthplace gave me an unrivaled nose for coin and the reputation of a financial expert. I was nicknamed the Seer of Louvain, and also the End of Midas. That is, until I persuaded an important nobleman to invest a large sum in maritime trade with Africa. All the ships he bought sank in a tempest. He had to sell off part of his estates to pay off his creditors. Of course, he wrongly blamed me for everything and turned many influential courtiers against me. But my advice was sound. He was simply punished by God for fornicating with every wench from the Pyrenees to Brittany, bragging about it and thus bringing shame on his gentle wife. I told him as much, but some people never admit their mistakes and prefer to blame others.
A sea voyage from France to Africa? You must have known that was a massive risk.
A risk, perhaps. But think of the fortune to be made. A man must think big if he wants to achieve greatness, no?
Big ideas often lead to big trouble. Storms, pirates, sea monsters, uncharted waters. It was a disaster waiting to happen, Baron. You should have tried the Baltic trade route.
You are right. That would have been safer. But that is under Hanseatic control and there is too much competition. Africa, mon ami, that is the land of opportunity. The Arabs sell to the Portuguese via Ceuta and they sell on to us. Just imagine selling further and trading directly with African kings, cutting out all of those middlemen. Remember this, because one day I will be proven right.
What was the hunting incident?
We were out in the royal hunting grounds when I caught sight of a white stag. There had long been rumors about it, so imagine the prestige I would have gained by getting it. I set off after it, pierced its flank with arrows, and unleashed the hounds to finish it off. When I arrived, it turned out that my aunt had not killed a stag but the horse of a lady, a court favorite of the queen's. I fell out of her favor, and all the doors became closed to me.
You were damned unlucky. But that could have happened to anyone, couldn't it?
Quite right. I'm glad you are sensible enough to agree with me. A misfortune like that, which could indeed happen to anyone, would make lesser men roll with laughter. But the other lords were afraid I would outshine them, so they were waiting for a chance to get rid of me. And that chance came along, unfortunately.
Luckery and Cargouche. Sounds like a pair of jesters.
En aucun cas. Jacques le Gris and Jean de Carouge. These two great knights were in a legal dispute over an estate. But above all, when de Carouge was on a campaign, Le Gris fornicated with his wife. She claimed that he had raped her, while he said he had seduced him. And because everyone swore to their own truth on the Bible, the matter had to be settled by combat. First, they jousted. Then they fought on foot with sword and axe. Le Gris thought victory was in his grasp, but de Carouge suddenly pounced on him, wrested him to the ground, and beat him so terribly that he knocked off his helmet and cuirass. Even so, Le Gris refused to admit his guilt, and de Carouge drove a dagger through his neck. And if you promise not to tell, I will let you into a secret about that dagger.
Tell me the secret. I promise I'll keep it to myself.
Bien. As I say, the Carouge killed Le Gris with a dagger. And I found that dagger in the mud after the duel. A blessed blade, an instrument of divine justice. The dagger that ended the last trial by combat France ever witnessed. An item of great value. So, I had several copies made and sold them to rich French noblemen. That is how I first came into wealth. And I used the coin to buy the horse and armor I needed to set off in pursuit of glory in battle.
Ha! That was a good idea. I'd never have thought of that.
You still have a lot to learn, mon ami. But you're young, you have plenty of time. Just keep your mind and eyes open, like I did. It was one of the greatest things I ever saw, and I have seen a lot. Believe me. Half of France came to watch, including the king himself, who then banned trial by combat in France forever. I later told the story to anyone who was interested. One of my listeners, a certain Froissart, wrote my icon down and became famous. I could have written it myself, of course, but I am happy to help others find success.
Tell me about Brabant province. Is it far from here?
Quite far. From Bohemia, you would go to Bamberg and then follow the river Main until it joins the Rhone. Then you sail down the Rhone until it reaches the sea. And there, between the river and La Flandre, you will find Brabant, with its wealthy cities. Anvers, Bruxelles, Louvain, and many others. But those three cities are the equal of Paris, Rome, or your Prague. Both the Dukes of Burgundy and the Imperial Princes would like to annex our land to theirs, because its flourishing trade has made it rich. But like everywhere else, you can only come into wealth by birth or by enterprise, which is how I did it.
How did you end up here?
Leaving the court with a modest sum, I launched to visit faraway lands. I traveled a lot, spending time in various countries, and having many great adventures. When I learned that l'Empereur Charles, that great friend of France, had built the magnificent city of Prague in Bohème, I had to see it.
So people in foreign countries speak highly of Prague?
Bien sûr! It was abroad that I heard of King Wenceslas' Silver City and its reputed vast wealth. I bought the abandoned Miskowitz estates and shares in the cotton-bearing mines. And for a time I settled here to provide for myself and wait for King Wenceslas, whom I wished to serve. But even here fate did not let me be. When Sigismund brought his army to the city, I appointed myself to lead its defense. For how better to make King Wenceslas aware of me than by saving his beloved city? Victory was assured, but the burghers had other ideas. The city was handed over to the enemy, and I with it, stripped of my possessions. I languished in captivity, until fate again stepped in by sending you to Malishov.
Sir Vaclin, I'm surprised how well you speak our language. Where did you learn it?
Where do you think? Here, of course. Ce n'était même pas difficile. Perhaps I have already mentioned that I am guided by Providence? She endowed me with many talents, mastery of language among them. I can communicate almost everywhere in a word, and learn every new tongue in a trice. I now speak French, German, Italian, Latin, Hungarian, and Czech. Some English, though that is only a necessary evil.
Thanks for sharing your stories with me, Sir Vaclin. What do you think of our band of outcasts?
Well, I cannot say I expected to end up in this kind of company. I am more used to royal courts or at least wealthy burghers. But a man must accept his destiny as it comes.
What do you think of Zizka?
Le Chevalier Jan? Well, he's not doing badly for a minor nobleman, but I think he will never be accepted among the higher nobles and knights. That takes a lot more. Mark my words. I am a good judge of people.
I can't get Catherine out of my head. I don't understand her. I'm sure you have more experience of love than me. What do you make of her? Why is she with us?
Ah, you're right. I am a connoisseur of love like I am of wine. But for my tastes, Mademoiselle Catherine is of somewhat aged vintage. Though, I have to admit she's full-bodied and fragrant.
That's not really what I meant. Why is a woman like her with us?
Là est la question. I had the feeling something terrible happened to her in the past.
So do I. But what?
I have no idea. But she is fond of you, if you ask me. Try asking her, and maybe something will come of it. L'amour.
Oh, come on.
I am a good judge of people, trust me. L'amour.
What do you think of Sir Hynek?
Ah, le diable sec. A capable chevalier. But I do not trust him. There is treachery in his eyes.
You think so?
My instinct rarely lets me down.
How do you get on with Janosch and Adder?
Oh, those two. Once in Kuttenberg, I also had a servant who pretended not to understand me and thought I did not understand him when he spoke German in my presence. But he was wrong. He is no longer my servant.
How do you get on with Sir Hans?
Oh, young Lord Chapon may be inexperienced and hot-headed at times, but he's the one of the few here who knows how to play chess. And I have a great respect for chess players. Needless to say, he has not managed to beat me yet. Godwin and Jeska can also play. And that devil in press clothing beat me. Merde.
Have you met Godwin?
The priest who is very skilled with a sword. Priests should not be such good swordsmen. That is what knights like me are for. In addition, he can play chess just as well as he wields a sword. And in drinking wine, he beats even the best Frenchmen. A man of talents. Or perhaps, the devil is behind it.
What do you think of Kubienka?
A good warrior. But he has no morals and no manners, like all mercenaries.
Well, I don't think he cares much about that.
And that is just the problem. How can you trust a man who does not want to be a knight?
About this merry band of ours. About this merry...
No one knows where they took order. Don't mourn just yet. Young Sir Christopher came out of it badly. He should. He was covered in blood, but most of it probably wasn't his. No one knows where they took Oderin and the others. Don't mourn just yet. Young Sir Christopher came out of it badly. What would happen to Mommy if neither of us returned? The community would take care of her, just like it took care of me.
Do not start with that.
Oh, Sacra. Damn it.
He was covered in blood, but most of it probably wasn't. Otherwise, you have all the rest without. No one knows where they took order.
Fuck.
Otherwise, Rabosh will be left without a thought. No one knows where they've put order the others. Don't mourn. Young Sir Christopher came out of his battle, but he'll live.
It's nothing too bad.
We should. Don't mourn, just...
Sam, I need to have a word with you.
Uh-huh. That makes two of us.
Just tell him. You may not get another chance.
I talked to Godwin. He said you know each other?
What did you talk about? Me?
We talked about your stepfather, Martin.
Why? Neither of you knew him.
It's true, I did not. But I tried many times. Remember how I stared at your sword when we first met? I recognized the Master's symbol engraved there. Well, the thing is, I am Martin's son.
What? Pa's son? How did...
Yes, his son. That is, his bastard son.
Are you sure? We look the same age, and Martin lived with me and Ma as long as I can remember.
When I was born, he was already long gone. Maybe we are not even a year apart.
And what does that make us then?
Nothing. Proof perhaps that both your god and mine have a sense of humor. You know, all my life, I thought if I did not give a shit about that man, it would be easier. But now that I know I will never see him, it troubles me that I did not get to know him.
I can tell you about him if you want. But now is not the right time. This is not the end. We have to go to Kuttenberg, now. Sigismund ordered confiscation of the property of people in the Jewish quarter.
The king has approved Xere.
He's no king to me. He's a fucking whoreson.
What's a Gezerah?
That is hard to explain.
Nonsense. It is as clear as day. Christians set out to kill our people. Innocent and often defenseless. Ransack their houses and divide the loot. And all that with the king's blessing.
This is what we were afraid of. But we did not expect Sigismund to be in such a hurry. We need to get back into the city and get the people out, quick, before it begins. Will you come with us, Henry? Every man counts.
I'll come. And Liechtenstein already knows about it too.
Very well. We should get going right away.
I'll be back soon.
Hurry up. Please.
We can go.
Thank God you're all right. On the way here, I saw Sigismund horsemen and feared the worst.
Kubienka? What brings you here?
Well, I heard you were having some kind of a feast here, so I came to grab a bit of meat. And I see, instead of that, you have a massacre here.
Well, the real massacre is yet to come if we don't do something fast. We have to get to Kuttenberg. Can we borrow the wagon you arrived on?
But of course. I borrowed it too, if you know what I mean, but,
Could you stop blabbering already? We don't have the time.
Easy, Ingele. And you, sir, if you can, come with us and help us.
All right. But could you please tell me what the fuck is going on?
I'll explain to you on the way. Time is running out.
Are you coming too, Sir John?
Of course.
Do you think that's a good idea? No offense, sir, but you're no great warrior.
I'm not. But I'm not just going to sit here and wait, either.
All right, then. Let's go.